Welcome to Tech 103, Decoding Generative AI. I'm JD Lynch. I'm the Senior Manager of Solutions Architecture for the Canadian Federal Government, National Security and Defense here in Canada. With me today is Alex Cocario. Alex is the Director of Technology for Latin America, Canada, and the Caribbean. Our goal for today's session is that you leave here with a little bit more information than you came in with. Many of you probably attended the keynote session and heard about some of the things we're going to talk to today, but we're going to go a little bit deeper into many of the things you heard about in the keynote session today. We think you made a great decision to come and learn about generative AI today. Generative AI is estimated to increase global GDP by 7% by 2030, and it's going to reach a market size of $100 billion. 80% of all AI research today is in generative AI. We're going to decode generative AI in 3 sections today. First, we're going to talk about why Gen AI matters for government, and we're going to do that through a user story. We're going to watch a demonstration of a user that is looking for information about government programs and services interact with a generative AI application that Alex and I built for this demo. Then we're going to talk about what's available for your project. We're going to cover some of the things that were covered in the keynote, but then we're going to show you how to actually implement some of those services, and we're going to build on the first demo that you see, and we're going to improve it throughout the presentation. Patrick mentioned the survey. I didn't mention that Alex is also my boss, so please be kind to me on the survey when you fill it out.
Forget about it.
Okay, so let's meet Sally. Sally just graduated from the University of New Brunswick with a Bachelor's of Health degree. Now she's going to London, Ontario to take a master's degree in health information science. She's been lucky so far. Her parents have helped her fund her education. Her dad did her taxes for us. He tried to teach her a little along the way. But now that she's a grad student, she's taken responsibility for her own financial future, and she's got to fund grad school on her own. And she's got questions. She remembers some of the things her dad told her, but she knows she needs more information. Sally hasn't interacted with the government at any level to a large degree, especially the federal government. She doesn't understand the boundaries between what CRA does or what ESDC does. She just wants answers to her questions for her spot in life right now. So this is a recorded demo. So this is the application that Alex and I built. I'll just do a little bit of orientation before I play the demo. So this is just descriptive. We called it the Government Citizen Assistant. This is our assistant talking here. We'll put our questions in down at the bottom. And then we'll see basically like a chat that takes place between the assistant and Sally. So I pasted in the first question just to get it going. She gives a little bit of background information, and she wants information on on student loans that are available in Canada. So the assistant responds, a couple of things to point out. It responded in a friendly and conversational tone. We told it to do that. We gave it the assistant some direction to be friendly and conversational. It gives us all the information at a very high level about what's available for student loans, and then wishes her good luck. So, all right, she's validated that student loan programs exist. Now she's going to follow up with some more detailed questions. So she's going to ask for contact information. So it does give her a correct answer, gives her the contact information, but it didn't give her the actual website or a phone number this time. That's an area where this chatbot could be improved, something we'll talk about as Alex goes through his demos. But what I want to point out is that we also included the sources of where the information came from, and Sally has the option to look at those links, click on them, and go find the actual source of truth that the chatbot and the assistant used to generate its answers. So she can validate that, okay, I know where it is. But she's going to ask another question of the assistant and see if it'll give her the actual contact information. And she's using the acronym this time, so she's not spelling out the whole National Student Loan Center. It gives her the contact information to the website that she asked for. So, she's got the basic information. She knows where to get the rest of it. Now she's going to ask another very specific question about a deadline. Yes, it does tell her that there's a deadline, but it also gives her advice on making sure that she checks in with her own province to be certain about what the deadline is. And if you went to the source, that is the correct answer, that it's they recommend at least two months before. So now she's going to switch, and she's going to ask some tax information. So the important point we were trying to make here is we didn't build it for a specific domain. We built it to be an assistant across government. So she's particularly interested about moving expenses because she's moving from New Brunswick to London. So she asks about moving expenses. She gets a correct answer that, yeah, she may be eligible for some deductions. It also tells her that it's the Canada Revenue Agency website that she should be interested in if she needs more detail. Now she wants some information about what's eligible in a moving expense. This is her first time moving. She had read in the earlier paragraph that there was a distance requirement, so she specifically asked what it was, and it turns out it's 40. So she's validated that, yeah, okay, she's moving far enough away. Obviously, it's a 15-hour drive from New Brunswick to London, so she's good. But again, she wants to check the source information. She clicks on the link, and it takes her to the actual information. You can see the 40-kilometer answer is buried in there, but it was buried in a lot of text, not necessarily written out in sentences, just included in bullet points, and her assistant was able to pull that out and answer in a sentence back to her. Now this is a little bit of a different question, this one, because we're asking our assistant to do something specific. We're asking it to make a list and give us categories of what moving expenses are so that she can start to think about what she should be recording and what's going to be eligible. So it responds, it gives her a list of 10 categories. Now she's going to ask it again for something a little bit more specific. She wants one example of what's in the transportation and storage expense category. So it's going to respond, hopefully, with an answer that says, here's one example. And indeed it does. It gives her an example. I doubt that Sally has a boat and trailer that she's moving to London, but it is a valid example of a household moving expense. So that's just a basic demo. This was the minimum lovable product that Alex and I built. There's no sophisticated prompt engineering going on behind the scenes. We indexed public web pages from CRA and ESDC and the National Student Loan Center, and we just asked straight up questions to the chatbot. We didn't do anything more sophisticated than that. There were some areas of improvement, and we're going to talk about those as we go along, about how we could do some fine tuning and some additional mechanisms that we can make this Q&A assistant even better. Q&A chatbots are not the only use case that you can apply generative AI. You can use it to improve the customer experience with capabilities like virtual assistants, intelligent contact centers, personalization, and content moderation. You can boost employee productivity with generative AI-powered conversational search, content creation, text summarization, and code generation. I'm particularly excited about the code generation. We're going to see a deep dive example on that from Alex later. You can turbocharge production of all types of employee content. I went too fast there. You can turbocharge all types of production of creative content, from art, music, and images to animations and video. And finally, you can improve business operations with intelligent document processing, maintenance assistance, quality control, and synthetic training data generation. We've gone this far. I've showed you an example. I've talked about some use cases, but I haven't actually defined what generative AI is. So let's take a moment and do that. So generative AI generates or creates new content and ideas, including conversations, stories, images, videos, and music. It's powered by large models that are pre-trained on vast corpora of data. They're commonly referred to as foundation models. You may have heard of some of these foundation models, such as Amazon Titan or the Falcon 40B model, which is the model that we built our demo on. My experience with AI was started in 2010. I was working on projects to predict hospital readmissions for congestive heart failure patients. After that, I worked on projects to generate patient discharge summaries for patients that were being discharged from the hospital. It's all text-based. I moved on after that to work on oncology projects where we were helping physicians choose the right course of treatment for tumor-based cancers with much more complex tasks, but a lot of text that was required in the input. Even though we had success in those proof of concepts, none of the projects actually went to production, because when we extended the business case to factor in the additional training, the updating of the model, the compute power required to run the model, and building the applications that made sense for the end users, the business case didn't make sense at the time. It was too expensive and too complex. But we've reached a tipping point now with the advancement of machine learning technology, the availability of scalable compute power in the cloud. Those projects that weren't feasible in that time frame that I worked are feasible now. Let's learn a little bit more about what a foundation model is. What makes them special is that they can perform so many more tasks because they've been trained on such large corpus of data. They have billions of parameters. The latest model to come out this week, the Falcon 180B, has 180 billion parameters. And I checked this morning, I think it's 2.5 trillion tokens used in the training of that model. They're evolving fast and they're getting large. Because of that breadth and that internet scale data and the patterns in that data, they can do a number of tasks and apply their knowledge to a wide range of contexts. Customers are excited about the foundation models, but what they're most excited about is that you can take these generally trained models and customize them for your own use cases with a fraction of the data and the compute power that it took just to train and deploy the original model from scratch. One way that we make these open source foundation models available to you is through SageMaker Jumpstart. SageMaker Jumpstart is a machine learning hub. It's where your machine learning specialists, your data scientists can go to build, train, and deploy models using tools they're already familiar with, like SageMaker Studio, the SageMaker SDK, or the SageMaker console. This is the up-to-date list as of last week of the open source models that you can access through SageMaker Jumpstart. I highlighted the one that we worked with, the Falcon 40B model. New models come out on a weekly basis. So now we're going to start to get into the how a little bit more, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper. We're going to get a little bit technical here. It is a technical session after all, but don't worry, we're going to come back up again. We've got a little bit of content for everyone. We're going to look at some code. We'll get technical, but we'll always come back up to the business impact of what we're doing and back to our demo. So this is the SageMaker console, and I've got a recorded demo. I'll walk you through it. So this is exactly how Alex and I deployed the Falcon 40B model for the application that you saw earlier. So we're going to go into Jumpstart, access foundation models. And the first thing we're going to see a list of all the open source foundation models that are currently available. You'll recognize some of them from earlier. There's the Llama model from Meta, Stability AI models, A21 models. So the list is there. You can click on, let's search for the Falcon 40B model that we used. So you can click on View Model and you get a little bit more information, just a general description, understand what data it was trained with, maybe some of the architecture that's behind it. This one was a casual decoder-only model. It tells you how many parameters, how many tokens were used in the training. But you can get even more information. You can click on the model card, and that'll take you into a very deep dive of the data that was used. It'll show you some code on how to use it, all of the details you need to make your model selection. Okay, so we've selected the Falcon 40B model. I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go into a project that we created in SageMaker Studio. So I have a pre-existing project that I recorded here. It's a notebook. Takes a second to launch. Okay, so on the left, I'm going to open my project in that folder. It's called Falcon-FM. There's some Python code in there, and it's a notebook. And this is all the code that's required for me to launch and test that Falcon 40B model. So 2 lines to install the prerequisites, run that code. 2 lines to select the model, just put in the identifier, Hugging Face LLM Falcon 40B Instruct BF16. That's the model I want to deploy. Then I run the deploy step, and the model's being deployed into my AWS account. So let's flip out of the project. We're going to go back in and validate that that model actually got deployed as an endpoint in my account. Go check the endpoints. I actually have 2 endpoints in there. I have the Falcon 7B and the Falcon 40B. You can see that it's in service. We deployed it earlier for this recording, obviously. You can click on it and check and get statistics and information. Haven't used it yet for this demo, so there's no statistics in there. But indeed, it was that simple for me to deploy the Falcon 40B model and make it available to my application developers and data scientists. Now, I'm just going to quickly test it with a small piece of code. The prompt is the question that I'm sending in. Tell me about Canada Lifestyle, a few technical parameters that I put in the payload, and 1 line to run the prediction and print out the response. And I got a response back from the model about lifestyle in Canada. Pretty good answer. So it was that easy, literally 5 minutes, go in, deploy the model, have the endpoint. Now it's available to be used. So I showed you a demo, Q&A chatbot. I talked a little bit about the what that's available. I showed you some of the how. Alex, what else is available to us if we want to extend and expand the capability of our demo?
Oh, that's my part. Thanks so much, JD. Thank you so much to all to come here. And I've been working with AI ML since 2015, I guess. And then last 2 years focused on Gen AI specifically. And the major benefit that I have in my function is the possibility to talk with customers around the world, not only for Canada, but also for US, where I live, but also for Latin America, Asia Pacific, Africa, and others. And there's 2 things that every single customer around the world are saying the same. I want to do things faster and security. Because for government, there's no or. Should be fast, but also should be secure. How can I do those things at scale? That's the reason that we announced Bedrock. So the idea of Bedrock is create a platform that can do those things at scale for the government, for critical workloads that needs to use private information. Bedrock is a perfect case to democratize Gen AI, not only for big government agencies, but also for small agencies that sometimes don't have all the budget available. Bedrock is for everybody. Bedrock comes with some models like AA21 Labs, Cohere, Stability AI. We go to some of those models, but work as a platform to help you to expand the idea of chat. Let's give you an example on how can you use it in your context, in your environment. So that web page is the one of web page that JD showed us before. Is like, let's say that web page is like a legacy application in my environment. This web page has no idea is what JAI means. So in that case, I just selecting part of the page to create like a text summarization in a real time, showing the power of GenAI with legacy application. So as you can see here, I just select the text, and as soon as I select, there's a circle in the middle of the page, like a plugin. In a real time, it shows the summarization of the text that I just showed you now. Perfect example of integration between the legacy application and the new world with a GenAI application. Let's dive deep on that. So instead of just viewing the information, we can also change the information, helping us to be more productive. In this second example, I'll have like a report, and I use GenAI to increase my productivity, doing the summary, but now changing the information that was created before. Imagine like adding those kind of capabilities in any kind of application that you have today. Let's show you what happened behind the scenes. Let's show you the same demo, but for different eyes, for different perspective, from the perspective of the builders. So in that case, we're using one of the models we call a Titan. Could be any model. I just select Titan just for the sake of the presentation, because we want to be sure that to give customers the freedom to select the model that fits better with your reality, because you don't believe that one model, you rule all. We believe like in a marketplace that you can choose between open source or some private model to make sense for your use case specifically. Let's see the example with Bedrock and Titan together. Same example before, same web page, because what I'm saying is I can get that information from, for example, another legacy application, or your database, or your data lake, and depends on you, on the information are, you can translate or you can work with that information in terms of recreate something new or summarize or even create reports, depends on the context of your organization. I have this information available, and now the next step, the application before did behind the scenes was go to Bedrock platform and see, okay, now I have the data available, what kind of task I can do with that model. In that case, Titan is one of the model available, the model that I use for summarization. And then the steps that I need to use in terms of summarization is A, decide which task I want to execute. Here, you have tasks like creating product descriptions, or summarize the text that I use, or write a new article, or why not, writing a promotion doc for you all. Like you see like how far things can go with GenAI, that's the possibilities that we have. In that example, we go deep in summarization. I have prompt and inference configuration. Let's go to inference first. Those parameters, and you see it a couple of times, show you how much aggressive you want to be with your content. Would you like to be more creative, giving conditions to GenAI to go like sometimes in a different spots? Or would you like to be more conservative, like, hey, don't be creative, just tell me, answer what I asked. You see, you have controls on the amount of creativity that you give to the model. Then you have the prompt. Prompt is a technical term that combines the content and the question. As you can see here, we have the parameters, and you have the content, have the question. Summarize that content, and 3 takeaways. I define that task. Could be 4, could be 1, could be something else. As you can see, the prompt is the combination of your context as a data plus your question. In that case, summarize the text before in 3 single steps. And for me, the most important part of this video, all those things are available to you through the API. So your application is like .NET or Java, Python, or any kind of language who has support to APIs, you just can plug and play in your application and start getting the benefits of GenAI. That's the magic behind the scenes. It's what Bedrock it's about. But if you just test some GenAI solution or some chatbot before, you probably ask for yourself, yeah, Alex, I get it. But you know what? Sometimes I ask questions for this chatbot, and I got really awkward or wrong answers. I'm from the government. I cannot give wrong answers. How can I fix that? That's why fine-tuning comes to play. Fine-tuning is a very important feature that helps you to tune or to make your answers better, appropriate for use case. I don't want to talk about a theory about fine-tuning. I want to show you how things work behind the scenes. So the same Bedrock that you had before, the models that I presented before, I use Titan again, but now I do something different. I test Titan with a different question. So my question now is, what's the amortization period for a student loan in a new Brunswick? And I have the answer. Pum, 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 pum. And the answer is 15 years. If you are not from New Brunswick, don't worry. I can guarantee the answer is wrong. Completely off topic. Probably because some content was there outdated. We don't know exactly why the answer was wrong. But no problem, because now we can fix that. How we can fix that? We created the fine-tuning model. So the first step of the fine-tuning model is the job. We select exactly, is a mic? I think I lost the mic. Oh, I think I got back now. We select the model. We can define encryption if you want to encrypt the data, because sometimes I'm working or dealing with confidential information. I define the job that you work behind the scenes to train the model again. And now, at the next step, the step here, I'm just defining the data lake in my case that I have a collection of right answers or a collection of curated answers that I want to insert the model to override the answers that was answered before. So as soon as I have this input data, I also have the output data. This is where all those artifacts we created is where you can get all these artifacts and insert in your legacy application. And then, like magic, start working on that. And the cool part on that is, now I have new fine-tuning, and now I'm creating two models, not one. One for Canada government, as I did before, but a second only specialized on New Brunswick. Imagine in your reality, what you have is like a catalog of models that you create relevant to your business with this kind of level of specialization. Now I do the same thing that I did before. I will ask the same question about amortization period, using the new model that was created, and then, not surprisingly, the answer will be different. Actually, that answer is right. It's 9.5 years, and actually, there's also a fee that's official from the government. You see like how you can fine-tune, change completely the output of your answer in just a matter of clicks. The last thing about Bedrock in this case is the importance that Bedrock don't need like tons of data. With about 20, 25 data points, you are able to refine the final answers and the final output in your model. Cool, now let's go to the last part of the presentation. Now is the development part, because I show a lot about the back end, how I can provide everything together. In order to do that, I want to expand two things. First, the use case. We are using a use case because a RAG. RAG is an acronym for Retrieval Augmented Generation. It's one of the techniques that you can use for large language models. And as a process, I just represent what happens in all the presentations you have seen so far. For the RAG, step number one, the person asks the question. Is the time that I get the text that was typed for the user, and I transform it in the prompt. As soon as I have this prompt, this information goes to the search engine first, not going to the model, because I want to go and try to make some research in some domain knowledge database to give me like relevant information regarding that question. With that domain information or like documents that give me a direction or give me a context, the next step is with all this context, I send that information to the large language model. And now for the large language model, I just take the step or the task that I want to have, like summarization, content creation, or whatever you want to do with that content. And that answer we give back to the user, the final user, as the final result, as the final output. That's what RAG is about. Now, I want to take a risk. Like, I want to develop the code from scratch for you to see, like, it's not that complicated to develop those things. In order to do that, I use another large language model. We call it a Code Whisperer. Code Whisperer actually is a tool for developers that use this kind of technology to help people developing code fast. That's the idea. I don't want to provide a lot of theory on this explanation. I want to show for real what's the life for developers will be in that context. We can use those plugins or GenAI in a different perspective in several tools. In that case, I use the Visual Code tool to show you how things work. Now we can see there's a Code Whisperer here activated. And if you're a programmer, don't worry. It's more about how things work. I explain those codes for you. But basically, you see there's some colors in this code. The colors here matter. Every time that you see a colorful word means that or I type it or I confirm something. Every time that you see some gray text, for example, here, is not me. It's the model trying to predict what I want to. And then I can confirm or decline in terms of next steps. So in that case, what the Code Whisperer did? Oh, I know, Alex, that you develop a lot of code in GenAI. I think that for GenAI, you need something like a prompt. If you need a prompt, you need a context. I didn't say that. Who did it? Code Whisperer, because it's always the same thing. Prompt needs to define a structure. A structure has some specific template that you as a programmer has a power to do so. Great, I did the prompt. It was the first step. But if you remind the slide before, there's 3 steps. The prompt, the search, and the momentum that we invoke that model. Let's keep doing. Look, def definition, and you see the search, because now the model say, hey, if you have prompt, oh, I know what happens next. It's about give you the boilerplate about the code. You see, it's not autocomplete. It's predict what you are doing next over and over again. So in that case, the search, all the variables, following all the best practices in order to help you to develop the code fast. Next step, invoke the endpoint. Now I want to take a different approach. As a developer, a programmer, I want to learn with the code because I know that part of the code is important and I don't want to accept what some large language model is saying to me. I want to confirm line by line. You see, I'm taking a different approach with the same tool. So line by line, I start writing the code and I know exactly what's going on and using the tool to help me, to guide me. What should I do next? That's the idea here. In that case, we use SageMaker behind the scenes, and they say, hey, if I have the endpoint, I need a predictor. Predictor is a function that predicts things, as the name suggests. And now I want to create a payload with the way that I put all this information together. And the process keep doing over and over again, because you see, the more code you develop, the more easier to try to be faster, because you have like always a flow, a logical behind the scenes. The parameters here, you see, in that example, I was a little bit creative. Was 0 before, now, okay, I'm good, I'm comfortable with the answers. I want to see what happens in terms of test. Now I have these parameters all together working properly, and now I want to work with data. Data is key in GenAI space. In this case, I'm receiving all this information from JSON structure, and he knows it, and now he creates a prediction. The model also knows it, and as you can see, in order to develop the demo, JD and I was only about tab, confirm, yes, yes, yes. The code was there because the benefit of using large language model. If you think behind the scenes, it's the same demo that JD presented before. The only difference before, you were in a chatbot, now you are in a development console. And tomorrow, who knows where you'll be, because we can expand the idea for everything. The last part, and probably for me, the most important one, the legacy application, because you need to connect the legacy. And for this line now prompt, I'm trying to simulate what the legacy application would be. For the legacy application, all you need to know is first, what's the question? And then the search. Now I invoke, again, you see the gray line going over and over again, and then I want to print a response. Get the question, send to the model, search, get the search, send to the large language model, and then get the final answer. That's 4 lines of codes is your legacy application in the end of the day. Is what you need to plug in your application to get these answers, and you are to use GenAI as a service. Here, just test the model. As you expect, I received the same answer that I received before, but now not on web page, in a way that your application can just take advantage of that. I know we are in a government, security matters, security is a lot. Security is key for your context. So I want to be sure that the code was generated not only to be functional, but to be secure. How can I do that? So as a part of the tool, we can work in a security scan. So I go to all my code to check, do I have something weird, something that could expose my organization? And now, thanks God, I have nothing wrong, and you can get the information that you want. The last step now, let's say that I want to save that information in a database. But you know what? Something new happens here. You see, I have a code that's a reference, or there's some copyright behind. That's a key point in a GenAI, because when I use a code, are you allowed to use that code based on license on someone else? Means it's critical for the tool show you where or what's the license about, in order to you make informed decisions if you want to use that code or not. In that example, the create table was a code based on the MIT license. That's the power that you can use when you develop code using GenAI. Let's expand more. We spoke a lot about Bedrock and spoke about APIs. And now let's see one of the key benefits of using these APIs all together. For the next example, what I want to do is use one of the models, but with something totally different. Instead of writing text that we saw you a couple of times today in that keynote, I want to work with images. Let's see how it goes. Now we are using a demo using Stability AI. The Stability AI is another model specialized on that images. In order to make it work, let's go back to the JD's application. The text that you saw before, but now I'm Sally. I'm super happy with the answer that I got from the chatbot, and now I want to publish an image on my social media. Interesting, you see the citizen talk with the government. Hey, I think government's cool. I want to use your intelligence to make myself more popular on the social medias. So she has no regrets to go there and say, please, chatbot for the government of Canada, create me an image of a female student wearing a black ring glasses, waving a Canadian flag. Because I'm Canadian, I'm proud of being Canadian. And in the University of Western Ontario, because where I'm going to study. And then GenAI says, of course, it's your wish. Your wish is my command. Here we are. Oh, I didn't like I'm cool, sounds like a very government. Let's do it in a different way. I want to provide a different question or put this image in a different way. I want to now change the image for a cinematic picture because I want to face towards to the university. I just changed the image. In a real time, I'm creating something completely different. And she said, no, I didn't like, it's not cool. I am cool. Government, please help me. And then she again go there and ask a different question. So in last question, I want to change for a digital style because I want to be sure that people know that I'm a super proud Canadian. And then, that's the answer. You see, like, I'm not saying that you should do kind of features like that in your legacy application. But what I'm saying is, like, the sky is the limit in terms of possibilities. Because you can combine so many things when you use GenAI, because we truly believe that I create an analogy between GenAI and the marathon, I'd say that we are just first 3 steps of a 10K run. There's so many things that can happen, so many things that will happen with this technology, because truly it's helping us to be provide a better solution for our citizens. My last slide here, the architecture, and again, like Patrick mentioned, those slides will be available for you. Here's all the components that we showed today. It's hard to believe, like in just 45 minutes, we just develop an application, use a search engine, using an open source, because sometimes you want to use an open source model. We also work with 3 other models, Titan for summarization, Stability AI for image, and also create our own model from New Brunswick. That show how things can move fast in terms of possibilities. With that said, JD, we are getting close to the end, right?
Yes.
So what's like the reflection based on what you just done so far?
Thank you. So quick side note for any gamers in the audience. There was a few Easter eggs in that presentation. I don't know if you saw them, but some of the images that we used in the slides, we actually created with generative AI as well. And at the end, I'll show you the avatars that Alex and I created as well. So if we're talking after and you think you know which images we generated with the Stability AI model, come and see me. I like this quote from the former minister. You know, the Netflix Blockbuster thing happened, you know, over 20 years ago, but I think it still demonstrates that speed is important. And you heard from Alex that we're only 3 steps into a 10K marathon right now, but that marathon, the times in that marathon, I think are going to be really fast. Things are changing as rapidly as I've ever seen in technology around generative AI. I mentioned the new model that came out this week has 180 billion parameters. That pace is going to continue. Generative AI is moving fast. And as fast as we've been moving and transforming government at all levels and in transforming digital services, we now have an opportunity to move even faster because generative AI makes it even easier for us to improve those digital services for our citizens. So we're here to work with you. One of our leadership principles is think big. We want to think big with you. Come and talk to us after the presentation. Tell us what your ideas are and think big with us. I know there's some of you out there already that have started your Gen AI journey. You're doing proof of concepts. I know there's others out there that have given the chance, can do some amazing things. We want to hear from you. We're here to help you. Come and talk to us after the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, JD. Thank you, Alex. We have about 5 minutes, so we should have time for 1 or 2 questions. If you have a question, raise your hand. I could bring you the mic, or there are 2 mics on each side of the room.
I have the first question. Do you guys think those avatars look like Alex and I? I may have prompted it to make me a little bit younger. I'm just saying.